Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we are ranking Michael Myers. That's right, all the actors who have portrayed the Shape, the boogeyman Michael Myers from the legendary Halloween franchise. That's right, many have taken on the mantle, but who's the best? And that's what we're doing. We're counting down to see who portrayed the character the best. Now, the rules are going to be, we're not going to count people that played Michael, briefly, like Dave Farch, who played him in the 2007 remake from Rob Zombie. He just played him as a little kid in the beginning. We're not counting that. We're not counting Tom Morga, who played him briefly in Halloween 4 and a couple of the opening scenes. We're not counting Tommy Lee Wallace, who played him in like a couple scenes in the original film. We're not counting Tony Moran, who played him briefly in the original film. We're counting the people that have played him for the majority of the film. So yeah, a lot of people have done this ranking, like Boogeyman Ben, Drum Dums, Cody Leach, people like that. So now it's my turn. I feel it's my duty as a Halloween fan to rank Michael Myers, all the portrayals of the icon, the boogeyman, the Shape, Michael Myers. So let's get started, shall we? Now, coming in at the bottom is Chris Durand from Halloween H2O. I feel like he was the least effective of the franchise. It felt like he didn't really pay attention to the past iterations of Michael. So I feel like he was the least effective. He also felt like kind of a pushover, like, he didn't feel like that unstoppable force of evil that we know Michael Myers to be. So yeah, that's why he ranks on the bottom. I'm not going to say he was bad, because there actually haven't been any that I would consider bad portrayals of Michael Myers, but he's the least effective, I would say. Next up might be controversial. I know a lot of people, you love this guy, but it's going to be George Wilbur for me from Halloween 4. Now, George Wilbur did play the character twice, and you will see him later on in this list. But I feel in Halloween 4, he just felt like kind of stiff to me. I didn't feel like he brought too much new to the role. He almost felt like kind of a generic version of Michael from the previous films, Like he just took little aspects of what they had done in the past, but they didn't come through as effective. I didn't feel like he was scary enough. I didn't feel like he was evil enough or menacing enough. So that's why he's ranked this low. Next up, another guy who played Michael twice in the Halloween franchise, and that is Tyler Mane in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from 2009. And you will see Tyler later on again in this list, because he did play the character twice, and we are ranking all the performances. So this one comes in so low because I feel a lot of that has to do with the way Rob Zombie wrote the character for this film. It's not just the way Tyler Mane portrayed him, but I just didn't really care that much for this version of Michael Myers. Like the hobo Michael Myers when he's dressed like a, bum on the street with the hoodie and the... I just didn't like it. And I didn't like when he had that grunt when he kills someone. It felt really strange because we had never heard that anywhere in the franchise. You never hear Michael Myers' voice or a grunt, and you do hear him speak in this movie too, and that really turned me off, So yeah. Next up is, I know a lot of people might find this controversial as well, Brad Lorre in Halloween Resurrection. Yeah, you guys know how I feel about this film, it's no secret. But one of the bright spots I feel was Brad Lorre as Michael Myers. I thought he was a fairly effective Michael Myers. I like that they brought the heavy breathing back into the series. That's one of the few things I liked about Halloween Resurrection, and that is that I felt Brad Lorre was pretty intimidating as Michael. I thought he did a pretty solid job. He was creepy. he was effective, you know. Alright, so next up is, again, George Wilbur from The Curse of Michael Myers this time. I feel like in The Curse of Michael Myers, he was a lot more effective. I felt like he did bring something new to the table. He did feel scarier, he did feel more intimidating, and he did have an evil, foreboding presence. So I liked George Wilbur a lot better in The Curse of Michael Myers than Halloween 4. Alright, so next up, again, some of you might find this controversial, Don Shanks from Halloween 5. I know Halloween 5 is much maligned in the Halloween franchise. Not a lot of people enjoy Halloween 5. But I'm not one of those people. I enjoy Halloween 5. And I also enjoy Don Shanks' portrayal of the Shape. I thought he was effective. I thought he was properly creepy. There are some scenes where I really felt uneasy, like when he was stalking Rachel towards the beginning. When he's kind of creeping in the background, creeping in the closet, watching her. I really found that effective, and I love the scene when Dr. Loomis is trying to get through to Michael, saying, you know, you gotta stop this rage inside of you, you know, you think you can kill them all, and he kind of just, like, looks at his knife, and he's about to release the knife over to Donald Pleasance, and it looks like he's kind of getting through to him, and I really enjoy that, you know. And there's another great scene where he's going to pick up Tina, when he's in that awesome black car there, and he's wearing a different mask that we're not used to seeing. He had a really creepy ass mask though, and he had a real creepy presence about him. And it wasn't just the mask, it's the way he portrayed Michael. So, alright, next up is Tyler Mane's first portrayal of Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween from 2007. Again, one of the things that I thought was a bright spot in that film. I'm not a huge fan of the Rob Zombie remakes, but I did prefer the 2007 remake to Halloween 2 by far. There were a lot of things I enjoyed about that film, and one of them is definitely Tyler Mane's portrayal of the Shape. And Michael Myers was very scary in this film. He was very effective. He was brutal, vicious, intimidating. Look at the size of him. He's like almost 7 feet tall, it feels like. He just felt like a monster, like a real evil, very, very intimidating presence, and just vicious and brutal. And Michael became scary again, definitely. And a lot of that is because of Tyler Mane's portrayal of the Shape. He does a great job. Next up is going to be James Jude Courtney from Halloween 2018. That's right, the film that was just released this year, starring the return of Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode, and we had James Jude Courtney portraying Michael Myers this time. For the majority of the film, Nick Castle did have a brief cameo, but James Jude Courtney played him for most of the film. And I think he does an absolutely fantastic job. He just absolutely nails the character in every way. And that's one of the great things about Halloween 2018, and that is James Jude Courtney as Michael Myers. Very, very effective, very creepy, very scary. He just... It felt like he did his homework, you know. He definitely watched the first couple films ad nauseum, and he brought his own feel as well to the character. So, just an excellent, excellent job. He's a fantastic Michael Myers. I love the look of him. I love the portrayal of him. He had the mannerisms down beautifully. Excellent Michael Myers. And next up, again, you guys might find this controversial, but there is reasoning behind it, and that is Nick Castle in the original film from 1978, the original classic from John Carpenter, which is my favorite film of all time. And Nick Castle comes in at number 2 now. Why isn't he number 1? Definitely he set the standard for the portrayal of Michael Myers, what Michael Myers should be, and he did very, very well. Why isn't he the best? Because I feel like sometimes Nick Castle gets too much credit, because there were like 4 other guys that portrayed Michael in the film, you know. You had Tony Moran, you had Tommy Lee Wallace, and you even had Deborah Hill do a couple scenes. So he did not portray Michael Myers through the entire film. And plus, in the original 1978 classic, you don't see Michael quite as much as some of the later sequel. In the later sequels, he becomes much more prevalent. Here in Halloween 1978, he was kind of in the background, more in the shadows, which is awesome. I love that. I love the foreboding presence, and Nick Castle really brought that to the film, and he did a fantastic job. I'm not knocking him in any way. He absolutely set the standard of what Michael Myers should be, and he was brilliant. But there's one portrayal that I felt was better, and that is Dick Warlock in Halloween 2 from 1981. Now, you guys know, if you watch my channel at all, that I am a huge fan of Halloween 2 1981. I think it is the best horror sequel that was ever made. And a lot of that has to do with Dick Warlock's portrayal. Now, why is he number one as opposed to Nick Castle? I feel like he had a lot more to do in this film, and I felt like he had a lot more screen time, and he could have blew it and could have ruined the entire franchise for good if he wasn't an effective Michael Myers. But he absolutely was an extremely effective Michael Myers. I feel he was even better than Nick Castle. I feel like, yeah, he took a lot of what made Nick Castle's performance great and took it to another level of creepiness. He was very, very scary, he had that foreboding presence. He just felt much more menacing, much more evil, much more intimidating. He just felt like a monster, you know, like an unstoppable force of evil, even more so than the first one. I absolutely love Dick Warlock's portrayal. I feel like he is the best iteration of Michael Myers. He had the look about him, and you know, he still had the original mask, thank God, from the original, so that helps a lot. And he did have a lot of the mannerisms. Like I said, Nick Castle set the standard of what Michael should be, and he kept that through Halloween 2, but he brought his own spin on the character as well. And plus the fact that he did all the stunts in the film, not just Michael Myers, but several other stunts in the film. He is Michael Myers 100% of the time in the film. At least adult Michael Myers anyway. There's a couple flashbacks where you see young Michael Myers, but adult Michael Myers is all Dick Warlock in every scene. And the fact that he's in Halloween 2 much more, and the fact that he maintained that creep factor, that makes him the best Michael Myers, in my opinion. He lost none of the scare factor. 0, even though he's in the film a lot more. He's a lot more upfront. Still, he's just terrifying. When you just see him walk down the halls of that hospital, it's so, you get such an eerie feeling, a chill down your spine, you know. And the scenes when he's just like walking down the stairs real slow, like almost like a zombie-like. I know a lot of people have a problem with the slow walk that he has, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And he also still had that sense of trickery. You know, he was still a trickster. We saw that in the scene with the hot tub. You know, when he comes up behind Nurse Karen and he's like puts his hand on her. You know, he was messing with her. So he still had that playful sense about him, like he did in the original. So he kept everything from the original, everything that Nick Castle brought to the character, and I felt just took it one step further and was even better. So there you go, guys. That's my ranking of Michael Myers. Thank you so much for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.